What it do, bedtime crew? Hey man, listen, today I am here with one of the most requested videos that I always get at the end of a year, because I am not only the best matchmaker on YouTube, but also the best predictor. And today we're going to be predicting every single pay-per-view, what's going to be headlining that card. I've also got some co-main events for some of these cards and what fights I think will be on there. We're going to be predicting from January 2026 all the way up to December 2026, where they'll be, who's going to be on them, what's going to happen, all that type of stuff. I love making these videos. I've been cooking this one up for like a couple weeks now, and I'm very, very happy with what I've cooked up. And today, I finally get to drop it. I don't know why the camera is kind of tilted. I'm just going to fix that a little bit. There we go. All right, let's get into this. Let's start off with an easy one. Dude, I'm feeling like January is going to be Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje, dude. Dude, something is telling me, something in my brain is telling me that the first card of the year is going to be headlined by Big Rufus versus Paddy the Bat. Nobody talks about it, lads. I'm fighting in fucking Las Vegas, lads. I can't wait to get a fucking cheeseburger in fucking Las Vegas, lads. You know what I mean? Like, badass main event for the interim lightweight title. Maybe for the vacant lightweight title with all this Ilia Topuria drama going on. I don't really know fully what's happening with that. I saw an Instagram post from Ilia Topuria. I'm hoping that he gets everything sorted out. We get to see him come back soon, but this is a great start to the year. I am tossing and turning. I'm kind of fence sitting this one. I'm starting to get a feeling that Rufus is going to win this somehow, but Paddy the Batty did comment on one of my videos, so now I feel like I have to pick him because he's my boy. But regardless, we know this is headlining UFC 324 in Vegas in January. And at the end of January for you Americans, and at the start of February for us Australians, bro, this is going to be fucking magical, dude. This is going to be such a magical fucking weekend, man. Just cut to Lopez sleeping. This is going to be magical, dude. Volk defending his belt in Sydney. And not only is Volk going to be in Sydney, I'm going to be in Sydney watching Tai Tuivasa. They're going to cut to me on the crowd cam. I'm going to be like, yeah, baby. I can't wait for this card. I know it's not even really that good, but you got Quillen fucking Sauerkind. You got bloody Volkanovski. And you got bloody Tai Tuivasa. I mean, what more do I bloody need to see in person? I think that Volkanovski is going to win this fight. I'll just say Paddy Pimblett wins the last one. But I really have a weird feeling Rufus is going to win. I'll talk about that later. But I think Volkanovski does win this fight. I think if he loses, he will retire outright. And we'll get Lerone Murphy versus Movsar Evloev for the vacant featherweight title. But I have a feeling he's going to win this one. I think he's going to utilize his grappling a little bit more, get more takedowns. We saw him beat the shit out of Lopez in that first round when he took him down. A lot of ground and pound. Lopez did have some good takedown defense later on in the fight, but I think if Volk really commits to it, he's going to be able to out-grapple Lopez, beat him up from the full guard, potentially get a finish. I think that Volk is going to win this fight and look to fight one more time this year. Let's move on to UFC 326 in March. Hey, listen, brother, it is what it is, brother. It is what it is, and it was what it was, brother. It's the same exact fight I had 10 years ago, brother. It is what it is. This one's for the BMF belt. I'm seeing some fights being announced for this one already. We've got Rainier Dorita versus Caio Borralho. I like that matchup. I think it's pretty good. I did say Caio Borralho was going to be on this card. I mean, come on. I'm a fucking genius. I would have liked to see Rainier Dorita versus Paulo Costa, but I think him versus Borralho is a great addition to this card. My hope is that the rest of this card is very good ranked matchups. We need good stylistic fights. Even on the prelims, I'm not asking for ranked top to bottom, but when you have a BMF belt headlining a card, granted, these are two of the biggest names in the UFC. This is a sick matchup. I think both of these guys have improved so much from when they first fought. I do think Max Holloway is going to win this, but it's weird because whoever wins this, I really don't see them getting a title shot. Like, I think if Max wins, his next fight will probably be some weird shit like BSD for the BMF belt as a co-main event later in the year. If Charles wins this, I think he's still going to get Paddy Pimblett regardless of if he wins or loses. I think that's a fight the UFC wants to make. But I'll say Max Holloway wins this one by decision, okay? Now we move on to the cards that have not been announced yet, and this is when I start cooking for the rest of 2026. We're going to start off with April 2026, and I believe this card's going to be in Miami. I just feel like that's kind of what the UFC's been doing lately, the past couple of years. Early in the year, we go to Miami, we put on a great card. And I'm going to say UFC 327 in Miami will be headlined by an interim title fight between Alex Pereira versus Cyril Gane. Tom Aspinall just got on Cyril Gane's call. I can't believe that this is real, bro. Cyril Gane posted this little wholesome ass post. I'm just training with Tai Tuivasa. I don't have a fight book. Tom Aspinall, mate, of course you don't have a fucking fight book, mate. You fucking poked me eyes out, mate. Fuck you. Gonna smash your fucking face in, mate. Can't fucking believe this fucking guy, mate. Go film fucking Paw Patrol. Crashing out. But the key detail is Tom Aspinall is saying he's getting surgery on his eyes and Cyril Gane is waiting for a fight announcement. I feel like we can all agree that the writing is probably on the wall for Alex Pereira to move up to heavyweight now, to leave behind 205. He sorted out Big Ank. He sorted out the rest of the division. I don't think anyone's dying to see Alex Pereira versus Carlos Ulberg. I think that we are going to get Alex Pereira versus Cyril Gane announced very soon for the interim heavyweight title. The winner will fight Tom Aspinall. These are the two guys that we want to see fight Aspinall. It's Pereira and it's Cyril Gane. Based on what we saw in that first fight, it was very intriguing in terms of a matchup. And I think a great co-main event that I can see happening soon is Jan versus Merab 3. Merab basically confirmed that the UFC said he will be getting a title shot. He'll be getting a rematch. And this is a sick trilogy. I don't think we've ever had a trilogy before. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. You guys love to do that. I just gotta say this while I'm here. Some of my comments lately, why are you guys so fucking salty over my takes, dude? Someone literally commented before, I'm considering unsubscribing over these takes. And I thought, oh my god, is this my GOAT list? Like, okay, that's fair. Like, a GOAT list is always gonna piss people off. Bro's crashing out over my best performances of 2025 video. What the fuck are you? Why are you so fucking sensitive in my comments, dude? Chill the fuck out. But correct me if I'm wrong in the comments section. I don't think we've ever seen a trilogy where the first two fights, they 50-45'd each other each. This is crazy. And I think that this is obviously the next title fight to make. So I think that UFC 327, April in Miami, Pereira versus Gane main event, Jan versus Merab 3 co-main event. Badass fight card, all right? Now, this is a little bit of wishful thinking, but I also feel like this is very, very it's entirely possible. That's Rogan, never mind. But listen, I think this is entirely possible, dude. UFC 328. We're gonna go to Japan, dude. We're gonna go to fucking Japan here, dude. All right. Yuri Prohaska versus Carlos Ulberg for the vacant light heavyweight title. Let's go for that. I have a lot of people supporting me from my village here in Japan. Let's go for that. Co-main event, Joshua Van versus Manel Kape. I've changed my mind. I love Manel Kape. I watched him do a post-fight interview at ESPN, and he basically said, like, in his own little angry way of, like, if you got Tatsuro Taira and me to set up a stall in Japan, 100 people are going to come over and get a picture with me, and none of them people are going to ask him to hold the camera, basically. This guy's cooking. This guy's fucking cooking. He even said Kyoji Horiguchi, he's a star because of me in Japan. I fucking love this, dude. And he's coming off a nasty KO. Pantoja's out for a while. This makes all the sense in the world to me. Put it in Japan and also put Tatsuro Taira versus Kyoji Horiguchi on the same card. Solved, sorted, great card. Yuri Prohaska in the main event. Why? Because he's the bigger weight class. He's a bigger star than both those guys in the co-main event. He's bigger than both of them combined physically as well. And he's fought in Ryzen. He's got a big fan base over there. Everyone loves to watch Yuri Prohaska. And him versus Ulberg for the vacant light heavyweight title seems very obviously going to happen at some point. Like I said, I feel like we can all agree that Pereira's probably not going, no, you know what, guys? I need to fight Carlos Ulberg. My legacy needs that Ulberg win. And I don't think we're going to get a trilogy between him and Alex. So I would say that Yuri versus Ulberg is a great main event for Japan. Van versus Kape, co-main event. That's what I would do. UFC 328 in Japan. Now we move on to March, April, May, June. UFC 329, mid-June, maybe near the end of June. UFC 329, the White House card. Now, this is a very, very important card. A lot of people are excited for this card. We're going to have 10 title fights. A lot of title fights. Dana promised me 12 title fights, no women's fights as well. What a great guy he is. I'm intrigued by this fucking card. I do think that Dana White is going to put together at least 2 title fights on this card. The rest of the quality, I'm not going to lie, you're probably getting Bo Nickel on the main card. You're probably getting Joe Pyfer on the main card. You're just getting that kind of guy on the main card of this event. But I think that one of two things will happen in the main event of this card. And I've made two options for UFC 329. Now, I think that Islam Makhachev will be on this card. And I think it'll either be him versus Ian Gary, right? If it'll either be him versus Ian Gary and Ilya will fight Paddy Pimblett, maybe on the same card. That would be fucking insane. Or they add another pay-per-view in June and we get Ilya versus Paddy Pimblett. Or if Justin Gaethje wins, I feel like this will become Ilya versus Islam and they will actually make that fight for the White House. That's my prediction. Islam main events the White House card. I'm going to put him in here against Ian Gary, who's like, listen, we are the future of the light heavyweight, of the welterweight division. We are the two best welterweights on planet Earth. And if you fucking disagree, my wife's lawyers will be in contact. Like, he does deserve a title shot. As much as we don't like him, he does deserve it. He beat Bilal Muhammad. Not as good as my GOAT fucking JDM, by the way. But decently well. He's the #1 contender. He's on a great win streak. He's only lost to Shavkat Rakhmonov. He has wins over the rest of the division, basically. I think that him versus Islam is a great fight. I do not want to see Kamaru Usman get a title shot without fucking earning it. And by the way, here's a great idea. Why don't you put fucking Shavkat versus Usman on this card? That's a banger addition to this event. Put that together. Shavkat versus Usman on one of these early cards. And I think Islam versus Ian Gary or Ilya Topuria will headline the White House card, UFC 329. Now let's move on to July, which will be International Fight Week. We've got it here as UFC 330, all right? And I think that there's a very obvious fight that will probably headline this and probably get made to happen around this time. And, you know, we just got to bite the bullet and just accept what it is, dude. Khamzat Chimaev versus Nasruddin Imavov. This is the only middleweight title fight we're getting this year. I'm going to say we get it in July at UFC 330, International Fight Week, whatever that card ends up being numbered. If it's 331, if they add another one, whatever it is. July, International Fight Week. I'm going to say we get Khamzat versus Imavov for Khamzat's one title defense of the year. And Volkanovski versus Evloev, the fight that we've been waiting to see for a long time now. I think these are the two fights that I can see very likely being put on this July pay-per-view for that International Fight Week. You know these cards are always banging. They love to put Volk on these cards as well. Chimaev, now he can fight in the US. I'm sure Dana White wants to get him at like MSG and T-Mobile. And I think that this is the soonest you can put him on one of those cards realistically, considering he said, listen, brother, I can't fight until after spring, brother. I have to fight after Ramadan, brother. Like, this guy's literally just admitting I'm just going to sit around and do nothing. And then said he wants to go up to light heavyweight. Fuck you, by the way. Please just defend your fucking belt. We're not asking for too much. So I'll say we get Chimaev versus Imavov in July. And I think that Volk versus Evloev on this card would be great. I would love to see Diego Lopez versus Yair Rodriguez on the same card as well. I think that's a really good idea to add to the beef for the press conference. And also, if Lopez beats Yair and Evloev somehow beats Volk, then boom, you've got that rematch there. If Yair Rodriguez beats Diego Lopez, we can give Gene Silva a touch. I'm just kidding. But yeah, listen, I think there's a lot of great things you can do with this card. That's the two fights that I can see headlining it. Let's move on to August 2026. This is going to be UFC 331. And listen, man, usually my clairvoyance, my ability to predict the future, it's extremely accurate. I'm talking places, I'm talking dates, I'm talking names, I'm talking fucking when I'm on top of shit. No, I'm just kidding. That's a deep reference. If you get that reference, you're a fucking G. But August, UFC 331, I'm going to say this is in like a random American country or some shit. I'm going to say this is like Chicago, Utah, you know, some shit like that. One of those random places that nobody lives, like Utah or something. I think we're going to get Petr Yan versus Sean O'Malley 2 in August, headlining a pay-per-view. Fuck yeah, baby. Imagine this fucking press conference. UFC 331. Schmidt's up there. I'm up there. Shug's up there. Timbo's up there. You know, who else? Bebo's up there, dude. We're all the boys. We are all up there. We are all up there. Steiny's up there, too. We're all up there. Versus Petr Yan and his team. I think that at some point this fight will headline a pay-per-view. I'm going to say August 2026. We get the main event of UFC 331. Like I said, maybe a Boston, maybe a Utah, maybe a Chicago. Jan versus O'Malley 2. I think that the next guy in line will be Umar Nurmagomedov. I don't know if he will headline a pay-per-view against Jan. That's why I feel like if Sean O'Malley and Umar both win their next fights, which I think is going to happen, no-brainer as the UFC is to do, all right, let's go Sean O'Malley versus Jan for the belt in the main event of a pay-per-view, and then the winner of that can fight Umar. Because any way that you slice that, Jan versus Umar is a super high-level fight. It's super exciting. If O'Malley stylistically, I feel like he has a better chance against Jan than he does against Merab or Umar. If he beats Jan in a rematch right now, that's huge for the UFC. And him versus Umar is like Walmart Conor versus Khabib. So that's a big fight anyway. I think this fight definitely is pay-per-view headline worthy. You got to stack it though. You got to put some banger fights underneath this. But I think that this is a worthy headliner for that August slot. I'm going to say UFC 331. Like I said, random American country though. Chicago, Seattle, some shit like that, all right? We have 4 pay-per-views left for the year of 2026 in my prediction. Obviously, I feel like the UFC does randomly add 1 or 2 here and there in the timetable. We usually end up with about 12 to 13 numbered events or whatever you want to call it now that pay-per-views are gone. Like I said, I feel like the best chance for that would be in June. Maybe they add another one. We get Ilya versus Paddy. But if Gaethje wins, then I think that Ilya versus Islam at the White House is probably going to be the move. But now we're talking September, okay? And if you haven't really noticed, July, June, April, these are fucking stacked. And then August, all right, bantamweight title main event, still a good fight, Jan O'Malley, but not as big as a Pereira, main event or an Ilya or Islam. And I think September usually falls into that category as well. There's been dark times in the past where it's been like an Amanda Nunes pay-per-view headliner. I'm glad those days are fucking over. I hope Kayla Harrison wins so we don't have to get any more Amanda Nunes main events. And I think that with this September pay-per-view and with the Paramount deal especially, this is something I want to stress by adding in a, White House card, the Japan card, Miami, Sydney. I really hope that now that we're not stuck to pay-per-views where it's like Americans have to be awake to buy this instead of you can just stream it whenever you want as soon as you wake up. Can we get more international events? I feel like that is really not asking for that much from a $7.7 billion company that's now just had that much money pumped into it, especially when you have so many international stars. So what I want to do with the September pay-per-view and what I hope happens, UFC 332, we're going to go to the UK because you've got so many guys you can put on this card. And the main event in the UK in a big crowded arena. I know Dana White doesn't like to do stadium shows. This fight could probably be in a stadium, I'm not going to lie. But in a big arena like the O2 or something like that, Tom Aspinall, Alex Pereira, interim heavyweight champion versus undisputed heavyweight champion. Tom Aspinall also, unfortunately, has been fighting once a year. At least he has some sort of fucking reasoning, At least he has some sort of reasoning, but I have to give him the same amount of shit as Chimaev. Like, not really, though, because, again, Chimaev's just sitting around. At least Aspinall has an injury or something like that. So I hope that I'm wrong, but I think his one fight of the year will be him versus Alex Pereira. I think Cyril Gane does lose to Alex Pereira, and I think that Pereira has a really good chance to win this fight. Based on what I saw in that Cyril Gane matchup, I'm not going to lie. When you look at Alex Pereira's takedown defense, and you look at the fact that, his striking is so good, and he's really sharp on the counters. He's got a good chin. He's got good power. I really feel like he could win this fight. But before the Cyril Gane fight, I would have been like, bro, Aspinall easily wins this. But after seeing both of their last fights, I really feel like maybe I'm just a victim of the recency bias. I don't know. It seems to be a thing at the moment. I feel like this is very competitive, and I think this is a huge fight. I think this is the biggest fight you can give to Tom Aspinall. So give it to him in the UK. Let's make it a big thing. Let's do an international press tour. Let's get a great undercard. Get MVP on there. Get Arnold Allen on there. Get Leon Edwards, bro. I truly believe I deserve to be on the card, bro. Why am I not the main event? Why am I not the main event, bro? I'm fighting Joaquin Buckley, bro. You're not Bilal, we're not GSP. I'm going to win the fight, bro. I should be the main event. Don't put the card at 5 a.m., bro. I'll get fucking sleepy again. But listen, what my point is, you've got a huge UK market, a lot of UK fans. You've got a UK champion. You've got a big money fight for him here with Alex Pereira. I think that this should be a whole pay-per-view headliner in September, UFC 332. All right, now, The last 3 pay-per-views of the year, I've actually fucking cooked so hard. Okay? And you've got to remember that in the meantime, other matchups are happening that keep these guys as top contenders or push other people into top contenders. And this is just how I see things shaking out. If I had to guess right now, January to December, that's the whole point of the video, right? All right? I've actually cooked so hard. UFC 333. October, Abu Dhabi. We need a big card. We need a big name. We need a big fight. Brother. Islam Makhachev versus Kamaru Usman. Later in the year, I'm here for this. I'm excited about this. The only reasoning that I have for not giving Usman a title shot before Ian Gary, or setting up the big fight that we've all been waiting to see for like a year and a half now between Ilya and Islam, is this guy is ranked number fucking 8 in the division. He's ranked below Sean Brady. Are you fucking kidding me? He's 1-3 in his last 4. I'm sorry, bro, but 2-2 is so much better looking than 1-3, right? Especially if he beats a Shavkat or a Morales or a JDM. That's never gonna fucking happen. But let's say hypothetically in a dream world that happens. Okay, give him the title shot. Because stylistically, this is a sick fight. And I feel like once Usman gets a top 5 win in the year of our Lord 2026, then that's easy as fuck to make. They both have the same egg-headed, Toblerone head-shaped fucking terror. Like, they've got the same guy managing them. I was kind of looking for the word for what that guy is. They've got the same manager. That's what we will call him. Looking after them. This should be really easy to make as soon as both of them win their next fight. Put this fight together. October, Abu Dhabi. You can throw a fucking flyweight title fight underneath this. Maybe you get a Yan versus Nurmagomedov underneath this. There's a really good card to be built here in October that will end up being majority decisions or eye pokes or robberies. But I think a great headliner for Abu Dhabi based on where that region is, the fan base, all that type of stuff, timeline-wise as well. Islam versus Usman, I think this is a great fight if it makes sense. And by this point in October 2026, it should make perfect sense. So that's what I think is going to headline the Abu Dhabi card. Because we know, like I said, Chimaev ain't fucking coming back. You know, so I think that this is a good fight to put there, all right? Next one to talk about, November, Madison Square Garden. I'm going to assume that in this schedule, Ilia Topuria fights at least one time against either Justin Gaethje, oh, never mind, not Justin Gaethje. I have a weird feeling that if Justin Gaethje wins, they're not going to fight. Like, I think Ilya is just going to vacate the belt and go up to fight Islam or some shit like that, or I don't know, something along those lines. Maybe he'll just say, no, you know what, actually, I want to fight Arman Sarukian now. But whatever it is, whether Ilya fights Paddy, I think he wins that fight. I love you, Paddy, but I'm just going to keep it a buck. I think that at the end of the year, November MSG, we will finally get to see Arman Sarkarian get his title shot. I think MSG for Ilia Topuria would be a sick moment. I think that the UFC obviously would want to put him there. They always put together these great cards. I think a great co-main event would be Manel Kape Joshua Van winner versus Pantoja if he's coming back, or versus the winner of Kyoji Horiguchi versus Tatsuro Taira as the co-main event to this. Maybe you throw Kayla Harrison here versus somebody cool. I don't know what you do. Maybe you do 3 title fights like back in the day for these MSG cards. But I think Ilya versus Arman, I think that's a very likely fight to happen at some point in 2026. We all want to see it. I think it's the hardest fight for Ilya in the top 5 at lightweight, besides Max Holloway. And I think Arman is harder because he can wrestle. You know, Max Holloway was giving him a little bit of trouble on the feet, but he did get taken down. He did get chinned, and his chin has deteriorated a little bit. I think the hardest fight is Arman Sarukian, and I think he'll probably fight one more time in the middle of the year, maybe on the same card as Chimaev. I think that'd be cool since they're boys now. And then in November, main event, Ilya versus Arman Sarukian. That's what I think is going to happen for MSG. Now, the last card of the year, December. These ones are always fucking popping. Like I said, that last 3 cards of the year is always generational, except for that one year where Leon versus Colby headlined a fucking pay-per-view. That was a disgrace. But I've cooked here. I've saved you, okay? And this looks like the greatest tag team match of all time, but you gotta hear me out on how sick this is. Bro, oh my God, I've cooked. Oh my days, I've cooked. Oh my days, I've cooked. That's right, man. Alex Pereira and Yuri Prohaska defending the tag team titles against Alexander Volkan versus Azamat Murzakanov. I mean, listen, bro, how do you not make this tag team fight? I think that if we somehow get, which I think is very likely, Alex Pereira as the heavyweight champion and Yuri Prochazka as the light heavyweight champion, you have to put them on a card together. You have to get them sitting next to each other at the press conference with their belts, cheesing it up, being boys. And I think that this is a great way to do that. Let's say Alex Pereira beats Tom Aspinall at heavyweight and becomes the champion. Volkov, maybe he fights one more time this year against, I don't know, Cyril Gane coming off a loss to Alex Pereira, or Waldo Cortez Acosta wins a decision there or something like that. Maybe a Derek Lewis rematch, something along those lines. Volkov is still there as the number one contender. He does deserve a title shot eventually. December, all right, fuck it. Here you go. We'll give you a title shot. Co-main event, Yuri versus Azamat Murzakanov, who I do think will probably chin Khalil or Magomed Ankalaev before the year is over, like in that middle of the year. And then we'll get this fight. That is what I think is going to happen at the end of the year. We're going to have Pereira, Yuri, co-main event and main event. I just think it would be so cool. I can really see the UFC wanting to do something like this because of the bromance that they have and the memes of Yuri smiling and all that stuff. I think it'd be really cool, and I think it'd be a great way to end the year. Put together a stacked undercard as well. These are my predictions for every pay-per-view of 2026. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know your opinions, your predictions in the comments down below. I'd love to hear them. Make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Go follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Bedtime MMA. I'm going to be pumping out bangers as much as I can over this 6-week break. I'm going to try and like mix it up a little bit. I've got a classic tier list coming. And I also, for those of you that are still here, I see the comments. That's all I'll say. I see the comments. I see what you guys are saying. I see what video you want. Okay? I see you. I'll see you in the next video. All right, man? Make sure you guys cop some Street X like back here. I'm also wearing the shorts right now. I'm not going to show you though. That's kind of weird. StreetX.com/bedtimemma. You can go check out the store. If you use my code bedtimemma in all caps, you get 10% off at checkout. If you just add a .au on the end of the link, that's like international. But yeah, check it out. I'll see you guys in the next video, man. Goodbye.